This is a qualitative analysis question. So if you are good at qualitative analysis or your practicals in the lab, you will see this question as a cheap one. It says, a solution of salt was acidified with hydrochloric acid. You put salt inside water, it dissolves, then you add hydrochloric acid. When a few drops of barium chloride solution were added, a white precipitate was formed. Which of the following anions is present? Trioxocarbonate 4 ion, trioxonitrate 5 ion, tetraoxosulfate 6 ion, trioxosulfate 4 ion. Which of them? Okay, let me demonstrate what happens. In fact, when you see white precipitate, you should suspect this, this, and this, because they appear as white precipitate momentarily. And later, when you add barium chloride, after adding barium chloride, the three of them, if any of them is present, you will see white precipitate. Then, what happens with the acid? Some of them will react with the acid, and one will refuse to react with the acid to dissolve, and that one remains white precipitate. And that is what the question is trying to test in you. So, let me show you what happens. Now, let's see what happens. These are present in the salt. Let's just suspect that the salt is a carbonate salt, or a sulfite salt, or a sulfate salt. So if you add barium chloride to a carbonate salt, what happens? Barium chloride reacts with a carbonate salt to form barium carbonate. This barium carbonate will quickly react with hydrochloric acid to form water, carbon 4 oxide, and barium chloride. So, once you add barium chloride to a salt containing this, you get barium carbonate, which is white precipitate. It's white in color. But it will not remain white because in the presence of hydrochloric acid, it changes to barium chloride back, then water and carbon 4 oxide. So, it will start evolving carbon 4 oxide, a colorless, odorless gas, which turns lime water milky. So this is what happens. Therefore, carbonate is not the anion. Now, let's check what happens when the salt contains this anion, sulfite. Once you add barium chloride to a sulfite, you get barium sulfite and chloride ion. Then, this barium sulfite will quickly react with hydrochloric acid to yield barium chloride again, sulfur 4 oxide, and water. You see, this white precipitate formed will quickly react with this acid to form barium chloride again, sulfur 4 oxide gas, and water. So the white precipitate will disappear. Now let's check sulfate ion. When you add barium chloride to sulfate ion, you are going to get barium sulfate plus chloride ion. This barium sulfate is not soluble with hydrochloric acid, so you will not get any visible reaction. So when in the presence of hydrochloric acid, barium sulfate remains insoluble. And that is why the answer is sulfate ion. So, look at it here. Sulfate ion is the answer. Tetraoxosulfate 6 ion.